Well, we're going to be talking about Cooder.
Yep.
KARAC Hendriks, this road is mine. Cohen Hendricks across the table from me.
Yep.
Going to surprise the oldsters and confuse his youngsters and
Yep.
all that jazz. Speaking of jazz, Cooder has an album called Jazz.
Oh yeah, I think I remember that actually.
It's not great, but it's cool. It's like a lot of my heroes. You can skip a lot of his albums. We're gonna be
stinkers.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, they try a lot of things. We're gonna be talking about the Buena Vista Social Club.
I feel like we were just talking about this.
Possibly. Well, I've probably talked about it before. I mean, the importance of this album it's huge, and we'll get into that here in a sec. And technically, you could call this a Buena Vista Social Club record, like their self-titled album, but I call it a Cooder record because he was the producer and kind of the head honcho, and his son Joaquin Cooder was the drummer on it. He was quite young when this came out. This won like Grammys, and yeah, it was really important. So, just the backstory on this, I'm not sure how it started, but basically they went to Cuba and they recorded this. And remember how we were talking about how the Graceland record, Paul Simon got in trouble for
right.
Cooder had to pay a fine for doing this record.
Wow.
Because there's still trade embargoes between the U.S. and like $25,000 or something. It wasn't huge. It was just bizarre though. Like, really, this is what we're doing?
So it was like a one-time fine because why?
I think so. Well, because he joined, or he went to Cuba to work, basically, like to record. So they recorded.
Shame.
Well, yeah, I mean, they were preserving the artists that were involved in the Buena Vista Social Club were in their prime. Like, they were older, like primarily men, if I recall. But it was all documented. There's a movie of the same name. There was a live show as well, on a live album, I think. It was really, really cool. And Cooder is really, really cool. So,
he is.
So what was your first exposure to Rye?
I don't know if it was my first, but my earliest was actually when we were playing with the Wests.
Right. Okay.
We were doing Jesus on the Main Line.
Yeah, or we were going to. I think we talked about doing
right,
it. Yeah.
And it was so had a playlist of the songs, and we were doing it of the live version actually.
Yeah, from the Chicken Skin Review.
Yes, yeah. So, not the one from, was it on Paradise and Lunch?
Yeah, there is a studio version. Yeah, I think on that one.
Yeah, which is a cool version too. I think he has that light kind of wavy tremolo on his guitar.
Yeah. Call him up. Call him up. Yeah.
But the live version's really good.
Yeah.
So that would have been it. And then I remember a record fact was that the first digitally mastered album was Bop Till You Drop.
First digitally recorded, yeah.
Or digitally recorded, yeah.
Fully digitally recorded was Bop Till You Drop, yeah.
Yeah, which is cool.
Damn right. Yeah, especially considering, he was such a like a champion of old music, of authentic music, to be in that, to have your name on that.
It's weird.
It's very cool. His birthday is March 15th. He'll be 73. Up. Yeah.
Oh, 73. Wow.
Yeah.
Older than I thought.
Actually, no, I think he'll be 74 coming up. Yeah, he's born 47. So.
Oof.
Yeah, but because his history goes back again. When we were talking about the Townes Van Zandt thing, he comes from that folk tradition too. Of course, he was a California guy, so he was in a band called the Rising Suns with Taj Mahal.
Oh yeah.
It didn't. I don't even know if it got released till way later, but they were sort of a folky throwback, because he's always been involved in like, well, what we'll call ignorantly we'll call it world music that's not North American or European primarily. But
I actually just learned the name for that. Give me a second. It's Occidental.
Occidental.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So you know how people say
ironic?
No. How people say Oriental?
Yes.
Which means relating to the Eastern world.
Yeah.
Our Western world is Occidental when it relates to the Western world, as opposed to
I wonder how
the Asian countries. I don't know
what the origins of that were.
It's OCC Idental.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll have
so
to look that up. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of
Okay. Yeah. So this is a very Occidental view of this.
Precisely.
But he was his forte was the slide guitar. He developed a whole style that it was built on the Hawaiian lap steel elements, and I don't there's so much I don't know about him, but and I don't think there's been a book about him yet. Like there has to be one at some point. If they haven't, there will be, I'm sure. But he really brought a unique spin instrumentally. But then as a vocalist, he's actually I think he's a good singer too. I think he's a pretty cool singer.
I remember liking his voice.
Yeah, nice voice, decent, like a very emotive singer, similar to, for me, Albert Lee. I think Albert Lee is one of the best singers of all time, and he'll always be considered the guitar player, as Ry was the slide guy. But
Right.
Funny thing is, like, Ry Cooder actually played slide on the early Little Feat records.
Oh, really?
That's people
cool.
think of Lowell George as like
Yeah.
the slide guy, but Lowell just stole everything from Ry
Cool.
and made it his own thing. Of course, I love Lowell because and his influence then on Bonnie Raitt as well too, right? So
Yeah.
they Bonnie and Lowell both Strat slide players.
Yeah.
But Ry
Was he Telly, right?
yeah, Telly, but he also would use like old pickups. In fact, you can they call them Cooder casters now.
Oh, yeah.
Anyone that's really into this stuff has a Cooder caster.
Cool.
So it's like these old pickups from like lap steels, and then they put them in a Telly or a Strat kind of thing. It's usually a Telly, but I think Ariel Posen's got one that's like a Cooder caster that's built on more of a Strat look and feel. But yeah, just bringing the open tuning thing again. His first couple records, the folk music, like a lot of covers. I don't think Ry was really a songwriter. He probably wrote a few, I'm sure, but over the years. But I don't really think of him as a songwriter, singer-songwriter at least. But he is a perfect example of an artist that actually he's kind of looked to as the artist that made Warner Brothers and Reprise Records so good, because he never had a hit.
Yeah, I can't think of a Ry Cooder hit.
No, but they stuck with him
Yeah.
album after album. I'm sure their albums were recorded relatively affordably. They'd sell a little bit, but never a hit. And now, not long after that, if you didn't have a hit within the first couple of records, you're gone. But they kept him because it gave them integrity, and it, like, as a label, he was influencing and working with other artists anyway. And it, and thank Bruce, thank God, whatever for this, for that, because now in order to do that, to be that creative, you need to be able to eat, right? You gotta and go tour or whatever. So that they supported him through that, and they had others too, like Randy Newman or whatever, only had a couple hits, and but these people were so important in the evolution of rock music, and like Ry in particular just brought a flavor. The kind of an element of the Tex-Mex thing, because with California connection with Mexico, but just, and then of course all of the non-Occidental people music. I'm going to try and use that word. So working through his albums. So you've checked out obviously through the Jesus on the Mainline thing. His Ry definitely over the years, he would do his own albums. Bob Tilly Job actually did a little better than you'd think, if I recall. Like his version of Little Sister is just so great.
Oh yeah.
And a Bruce Springsteen connection there, by the way. The guy that sang harmonies on Bob Tilly Drop is a guy named Bobby King. Bobby King ended up touring with Bruce in the 90s, singing harmonies. Bobby was also a bit of an artist himself, not super well known, but Bobby did those amazing harmonies on Bob Tilly Drop. If you listen to the first two tracks, Go Home Girl and Little Sister, just Bobby's harmonies just made it. Yeah, and it's just so cool that he ended up touring with Bruce. And when I saw Bruce the first time, because it was not with the non-E Street Band, like the other band, the other band they call it, or the session. They call it the other band. I think usually we refer to it as, but and Sam Moore did a duet with him on the Human Touch album, and then so Bobby would do the Sam Moore part live. It was just amazing. It's cool. Yeah. But Rye ended up doing a lot of soundtrack scoring too, and that's where you may recall kind of a terrible movie that I love very much called Crossroads.
Of course, yes.
The one and only Steve Vai.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine, how we talked about how Mark Knopfler was, I had the poster, and then just think like I'm roughly the same age. I'm like, there's that kid, the guy from the Karate Kid, pretending to play guitar, and I know it's Ry Cooder. And I'm just like living and breathing these records, but and it was such a nice counterpoint to the to that terrible. Like there was just such awful music and sounds in the 80s. I mean, I've come to like it now, like looking back, but at the time, that very sterile digital synthesizer stuff. Yeah. And then here's this like rootsy, like rocket thing. Like that version of the song Crossroads is just like, I love Rye singing, is playing the slide. Like, the only other guy that, I like David Lindley just a little bit more, but
I haven't dug too much into Lindley, but
Lindley's, he's quirkier. He doesn't have near as many albums as Rye. But yeah, he's just so much cooler, but, but there would be no really David without Rye in a way. Like they were, like Lindley can play anything as well too, but Rye I think probably could as well too. But Rye kind of sticks to the string, like to the lap steels and the regular guitars. But whereas Lindley plays he plays like violin, like he played violin on like even some Springsteen stuff. Cool. Connections with Lindley as well there, but. The scoring through the 80s or late 70s, I think the first one I remember was The Long Riders. He scored. It was a more of a modern Western movie that he did. Actually, I probably have a list here of some of the soundtracks he did. Oh yeah, he did. Oh yeah, he was on the performance soundtrack too with Mick Jagger, but that was like 1970. Yeah, Long Riders, Streets of Fire. He did Paris, Texas. Really cool movie. So these titles, like I'll say, Crossroads, Blue City, Trespass. That was a rap movie, by the way. We'll have to watch sometime. He did a lot of soundtrack work, scoring work, and I don't even know much about the movies. But I think about the movies a lot because of the soundtrack. It has nothing to do with them.
That's funny.
And I've actually gone back and watched some of these movies where I only knew the soundtrack. And that's just funny. Yeah, that's where I come from with this stuff. But one of my favorite Ry Cooder soundtrack moments was. There was a movie in 1988 called Cocktail, and Tom Cruise was the star, and Elizabeth Shue. Yeah, it was. So I don't even remember the plot, but he was a bartender, and his big thing is he could like throw bottles in the air and like catch them and like pour drinks, and it was all really cool. And he'd like throw them behind his back. And, but the soundtrack was killer. It had the song called Kokomo by the Beach Boys, which was terrible, but it was fun at the time. But Ry Cooder's version of All Shook Up is on that soundtrack. Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I was like, and it was just like swampy and groovy, kind of digitally sterile sounding because it was still in the 80s. But so Ry would show up in these like weird places over the years. And then I kind of lost track of him. I mean, I knew he was still around, through the 90s or whatever. But then, when the Buena Vista Social Club thing came out, it was just a game changer. I mean, I didn't listen to the record a lot, maybe once kind of thing. When I would have watched the movie once, but just the fact that he took this challenge to basically rescue this music, or at least to get it onto record, right? It's the same word, right? Recording. And they filmed it, and then they were able to bring worldwide attention to this type of music because the Cuban style of music it's different again. Like there's like the music from Mexico and in through Central American stuff, but the Cuban stuff is just different again. Like it's got
and that's something that I'm gonna when I'm done my high school, I'm gonna be looking into other worldly music, as we'll say, and non-occidental. And that sounds like some merch, like a t-shirt you could for the podcast, non-occidental.
Yeah, because oxidization, right, is like,
and the shirt's probably going to be made in a non-occidental country.
Quite likely, to make it affordable. Anyway.
But anyways, is studying the theory of what makes those Japanese music has a certain sound, and that sort of thing.
The instrumentation and the rhythms are all just a little bit, and melodies.
And I have some videos and stuff written out already of that stuff. But one thing that's made it come back recently is sea shanties.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch.
What the heck happened there? Hey,
no idea, but I got a video of Adam Neely. He's in a band called Sungazer. I showed you Shoop Saran and the Shoegazer, and then you taught me Shoegazer.
I told you about shoegaze music.
Yeah, so clever. But yeah, he has a video about the music theory behind sea shanties. So but just stuff like that, you know, with Cuban music is something that I couldn't actually put my finger on, but you know, music from
you actually can right now. You can put your finger on
that is true. Literally, yeah,
literally put your finger on that record, and that's probably the only record you'll listen to and need to. One of the singers, Abraham Ferrer, he's passed away now finally, but he did a solo record after this too, and I think a lot of people listen. I didn't, but different pockets of the world, have different styles.
And Serge Tankian, or some I've heard pronounced Tonkian. He has experimented, I think, with a lot of non-Occidental things. For some reason, I had that album saved, but I removed it, and now I don't remember. But it was called Steel Drum Favorites.
Did he talk about that?
And I feel like it had something to do with Serge, and it was literally like 3 people on a beach playing the steel drum or something. And it was something like that. But yeah, I thought I like when people experiment with non-Occidental things like this.
Well, that's the evolution of music, is it? And it continues on. We're still continuing to reappropriate or absorb and all this stuff. Well, even the sea shanty thing, that's just straight up like Irish jig kind
really
of stuff.
Weird. And I think we were talking about a couple episodes ago, even the Scotch snap or the Scottish snap, which is used a lot in hip hop music.
Yeah.
So I think it's used a lot. Other aspects of music that's not in our North American area is used so much, and people don't actually realize it. But I think an album like this is probably it's more obvious. It probably leans more to having probably more just aspects of music that we would consider normal to hear.
Well, and
maybe
and of course,
I haven't listened to it.
You'll have to and I mean I'm pretty ignorant when it comes to the whole Cuban, the Cuban embargoes, and there was a whole thing with the U.S.
Missile crisis,
Bay of Pigs, all that, which of course I know because of the Billy Joel song "We Didn't Start the Fire." That's right. If you just follow that and read all the articles, that he talks about. Go. But and the Cuban influence, because Cuba's so close to Florida too, right? So
it's crazy how close
Cubans
they are.
Escaped and made it to Florida. In fact, Raul Malo from the Mavericks is of Cuban descent, right?
Oh,
so
cool.
He often will sing in Spanish, but his rhythmic ideas are this kind of mix of just all the different Latin stuff, but he's of course still American, and he's a fan of classic Nashville country too. So definitely the Mavericks really helped bring awareness to at least some rhythms other than the straight up ones that we've been accustomed to.
Yeah, definitely.
This album, Buena Vista Social Club, is often touted as like kind of kickstarting the whole Latin craze. So through the mid to late 90s, Latin music became became more popular, and now it's like huge, that, right? Like across the world, and we're still not fully aware of its impact, right? But if you travel to other countries, the pop stars in those worlds are just like massive, and their impact is felt in North America for sure too. But this was a big part of that. It was because this was bringing the authentic, they didn't try to change any of this. They just wanted to capture it, so that it could be preserved for posterity. So it's a great album to put on if you're just trying something different. The rhythms are all different, like even between their stuff and the Mexican stuff. There's where they place the beats in a bar is like I'm still trying to figure it out. Like the one is a little pushed, and then they kind of pull back on the 2 and the 3, and the 4 is kind of pushed again. Yeah, it's just really
actually, Marco Miniman, the drummer, is quite experienced with other rhythms from around the world, and there's a cool video where he's doing like a polyrhythm that I think he learned from I can't remember exactly the story, but it was like a non-Occidental rhythm. But it was like a tri-polyrhythm where he was playing like 5 on his foot, 7 in one hand, and then like 11 in the other hand. So there was like 3 rhythms going on at once.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I think if I recall, he said that like that was like nothing in some other cultures.
Yeah.
To just play stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really weird rhythmically.
For sure.
Which is pretty cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it was, yeah, we have a lens that we look at stuff through kind of by default and then go to it from other ways. And then of course a lot of these other cultures do it the other way too. They when they look at North America, they see blues, they see jazz.
Yeah.
And I guess rock and roll ultimately, right? Which is an amalgam of all that stuff. But so, yeah, and it all gets shared up.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ry Cooder's he's a hero. Not only as a player, as a singer, and obviously as a music purveyor. I don't know if he did. I don't think he did any other projects like this after this. But before this, he had in the '90s he had been working with other artists from other countries as well, a little bit, like kind of doing like these one-off albums. Like there was that one Meeting Across the River. I can't remember who that was with, but oh yeah, and then Talking Timbuktu with Ali Farkature. So there, yeah.
Who is that? Sorry, did you say?
Ali Farkature. Yeah.
Serge Tankian.
Yeah.
I just recognize that name.
Yeah,
from
he's an African. Yeah, I don't know a lot about him either, but
I tried to listen to one of his albums and I couldn't get into it.
Well, yeah. See, I think like a lot of this stuff wouldn't have happened without him first. If I recall, he was one of those that became the first. Oh, actually, yeah. What am I saying? Vinyl Weeklies did a reissue of one of his albums.
Which one was it?
I think a lot of them were kind of like Peter Gabriel. A lot of them were self-titled, but with different colors.
Cool.
I think it was the Red album actually from '84.
The one I listened to, I think, just had him on the cover.
Yeah, no, I think they were a lot like that. But he was responsible for bringing this type of music out of Africa, right? So that and we would start hearing it on like college radio stations or whatever. So obviously it wasn't like pop music, but it was again with a pre-internet. This stuff was harder to find, harder to get access to, to learn about. It was a lot of discovery, and then as the internet came around, then people started being able to communicate with one another and discover this stuff. So it's amazing stuff. But
it's one of Serge's favorites.
Yeah,
it was in when I was binging the What's in My Bag from the Amoeba Music channel.
Yeah.
That was one that he got.
Yeah.
Was one of his albums. Lots of cultural music he got. He got one by a Japanese saxophonist called, don't know how I'm probably going to pronounce his name wrong, but it's Karu Abe.
Okay.
And very underrated saxophonist, but he overdosed when he was like 30.
Oh, wow.
Very rare. I think the album was called Blue Benson.
Okay.
And yeah, I checked it out. Just insane saxophoning skills. But just kind of another example, I think, of how... Well, actually, we brought up System last time in the last episode too.
Oh yeah.
About how such a popular metal singer is so into other cultural music, and you'd never probably, if you picked it apart, you could probably figure it out. But I mean, their stuff's very, they're very into their Armenian culture, and a lot of their music, I wouldn't say musically reflects it, but their lyrics do.
Oh, definitely the lyrics.
And some of the melodies too, like that outro on Toxicity, the album and song is like a classic Armenian sort of thing.
Oh, okay.
So if you listen to the full thing, it's pretty weird.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Those bands between Rage and System, I mean, they brought a lot of awareness to international political stuff for a lot of people in my age group anyway.
Me too.
But in the early in the 2000s, Rye did a series of albums. Chavez Ravine, My Name is Buddy I Flathead. Very cool. And then he got very active politically. He had an album called Election Special.
Cool.
It was around the Obama, like in between Obama terms or whatever, because that sort of Tea Party neocon sort of thing was coming around again. So I mean, Obama did win the second term, of course. Or stole it, depending on who.
Of course.
But there was this movement of neoconservatism that was getting pushed, and you know, now it's just manifested into this craziness that the Republican Party is now. But back then, yeah, there was guys that they were looking at like, oh, we can't let these guys in. We gotta fight for that. And now you look back, hey, maybe they weren't so bad compared to like these guys. But so yeah, he did get a little bit active in that stuff too. But
Cool.
But yeah, that's his prerogative. And
So would he be more like liberal, or?
oh yeah,
Because
most of these guys
it's
are.
kind of interesting that I've noticed that, you know, a lot of the artists, or at least the ones that speak out, are more, you know, Springsteen, Tom Morello, Cooder. They're more liberal than I'd think. Just because they're older, I wouldn't expect that from them. So it's kind of almost like they're the rebellious. Yeah, I don't know. It's
not only older, but they've benefited from the capitalist system so much.
It's kind of ironic.
Kind of, and yet I think a lot of them are well aware of that too. So just because the system is the way it is doesn't mean you can't compete in the system, but you can try and change the system too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they, you know, they get told, you know, shut up and sing or whatever. But a lot of them, they're, you know, musicians are only on stage 2 hours a day, so they got a lot of time to read books and do act. You know, for the most part, of course. I know I'm being a complete jerk here, but yeah, I mean, you have to understand too that the good old Republican Party, the GOP from before, is nothing like it is now. I mean, now it's just become this crazy schmozzle of, you know, well, you know, I have plenty of issues with the Democratic Party too, and
of course
on the American side, as you all know. But you know, when they speak out, they're in the history, in the long tradition of guys like Woody Guthrie, who was a full on socialist, communist / almost anarchist. Like he had a lot of weird leanings, but they saw that the Industrial Revolution brought a lot of wealth to a small number of people, and on the backs of slaves or poorly paid people. So, and that hasn't gone away. So things are definitely better and continue to get better, but these people still continue to speak out around these issues. And then when you go to a country like Cuba and you see what poverty really is, you know, then they come back with a refreshed sense of, man, we could fix this like right now. Why are we not doing that?
Yeah, true enough.
Charlemagne the God was just on Bill Maher.
Who?
Oh, you don't? Oh,
I don't think so.
Charlemagne the God. You probably do know. He's a radio guy. Okay. But he's also an author, and he's an African American descent, and he has he's very outspoken about a lot of things too. He's like a radio DJ.
Okay.
And Oh, you know, I just remembered he was on Ridiculousness at one time.
Oh, okay.
And you know that girl that laughs terrible, Chanel West Coast.
Chanel, yeah.
And she thinks she's a rapper, right?
Oh God, okay.
And he sits down because he's a radio DJ.
Yeah.
He sits down and she's like giving him these dirty looks, and he's like, she's something like you could tell there was like some bad blood, and she's like, you said some bad things about my music, and he's like, your shit is whack. It's just like,
that's funny.
Like basically like it's terrible. Like,
I could see that.
Like, it was pretty funny. But, but yeah, he definitely said a few things that I was like, didn't necessarily 100% agree with, but I know what he means, like about the reparations and all that stuff.
For sure.
And you know, his point is just like, you know, we'll waste like 1.7 billion on fighter jets that we don't need. Can't we just like fix the system and like give that? But we could
probably.
But that's, you know, that's the only way you can get change is by talking about this stuff and researching and trying to get not even awareness so much, but actually action.
Definitely.
So guys like this, you know, they will come from that place of utopian sort of socialism a little bit, and so it's easy to dismiss them sometimes because you're relatively wealthy and you've.
Well, I mean, as we'll probably get into in the other podcasts, but I have seen a lot of people that would probably benefit from what these people talk about. That isn't really. I mean, it's more of where we are. It's more disguised, I think, than anything. It's still, it's not a fixed problem. It's just better hidden.
Yep.
But I still stand by a lot of. I don't know, unpopular opinions for my age. I mean, my teachers always say when we do our. Not to get too into politics, but when
Rye started it.
Yeah, it's his fault. But when I do political spectrum quizzes in social class, and they always say, "Oh, you're very different for your age." Like
yeah. Well, you are,
thanks,
but
thank
yeah.
you.
Actually, I don't know if you're as different as they think you are, because I think even some of your friends are, like your generation is now coming into this almost like this center right thing, or right center, or however you want to call it. Which I think is just a surprise, considering all of the indoctrination that we give you from an early age from the left. Right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
How really you're gonna say that? Yeah,
yeah. Or it's so like leaning one way on one thing, and then the other thing's totally the other way. It's
they
almost
ignore it. Yeah.
Well, I think it's almost actually like how we say people's music tastes are really unique when you think about it. I think it's the same with people's political beliefs.
Of course, it's never that simple.
Yeah, it's very very unique.
Yeah,
I think.
Well, yeah, it is, and yet but it's the commonalities that bring us all together, and I have just found that most people are all pretty similar, like in their views. Actually, it's the divisiveness of the sport of politics that gets a lot of people riled up. And,
well, I think a good way to put it is that we can all agree on the problems, but we disagree on the solutions.
Right.
And
that's okay, actually.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. And that's
how it should be.
North America used to, even Canada, like, we had our two sort of main parties and different ways of looking at things and trying things, and it's all good. You have to have that. But yeah, you're unfortunately growing up in a time now where things are so not only polarized, but one team has just completely lost their mind. Like they, and it's really sad because there's some great people in that team.
Yeah.
But like a lot of the good ones are either keeping quiet or they're leaving and they're just going independent. And, and then the other team thinks they're, pretty righteous and everything's, we're the only ones that are, they're doing anything worthwhile. And sadly, they're the ones that have at least been able to keep a lid on things. But, like Bernie really threw a wrench into their plans too, even though he's technically an independent. I mean, he's basically a Democrat, right? So, but a hard left Democrat too, right? So
yeah, I don't know. He just kind of became more of a meme.
Yeah,
in my generation.
Yeah, it's like, did you ever watch Back to the Future?
No, it's on my list though.
Yeah, I've got actually the trio. I've got the DVD set there for fun. I think it's on Netflix too, but the what's his name? The scientist there, like
is it or was Marty?
Marty was
Marty
the guy,
McFly?
and then his buddy with the white hair. He's kind of looked like Einstein, played by Christopher Lloyd. But he, like he was just like, he was always like, Bernie always reminded me of him a little bit.
Yeah.
Too,
Mad scientist.
Yeah, but you got to have the ideas out there. The worst thing is to keep them all silenced. But yeah, that's a long rabbit hole. But yes, nothing makes my heart happier than hearing things like Cooder, like the song Tatler, which I think he wrote.
Yeah, I remember the
Tatler?
name. The name of
Linda Ronstadt did a version of it, like Linda and some of those artists, they were the first ones or the ones that you usually hear their versions first. But like I loved Rye's version.
Yeah.
That was Paradise Lunch too, wasn't it? Yes. Yeah. Let's see. He was a co-writer on that with Russ Tidler and Washington Phillips. Look at that. Yeah. Remember Tamp 'Em Up Solid?
Yes. Right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That was on Paradise and Lunch.
Yeah.
I must have went through the whole album.
Tatler was the second song. Yeah. And Jesus on the Main Line was the fourth song. That's why. Yeah. What a time, the 70s, I tell you. Yeah.
What year was that again?
That was 74.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he really came into his own as an artist around that time because he had played on so many albums just as a side guy, and he continued to. But like in those late '60s, early '70s, like just all those albums, he was just such a busy session guy in L.A.
Yeah,
his stamp is all over everything with that slide stuff, but his singing was just great too. Like I'm looking through some of his albums. You're like Dark End of the Street, his version was just an instrumental. Man, so good. Yeah. Crazy stuff. Yeah. Love it. So, but Buena Vista Social Club, grab that from Vinyl Me, please. Yeah. Show that on the camera there. We got,
it's a cool picture.
Yeah. That's Iran Ferrer there. Yeah. It was a really good record. And, man, like his kid, like Joaquin Cooder, really good drummer, like not a flashy drummer, but like he's a student of percussion basically. Right.
Okay.
So I think he was like, it worked well because he was so young and he could play the right rhythms or at least sit in with the old guys and learn. And it's just it's really important that this stuff gets passed down and immersed, and it is. And then for all of us to enjoy. So well. Okay, well, I think we should probably peace out of here.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just drop a little, if anyone's watching.
Yeah, we got a little ice cream cone on the shirt. What's up with that? Show the
new
show
merchandise. Yeah. So, this is one of my friends' merchandise they're doing in their classroom. It's called Cosmic Ink.
Cosmic Ink.
It's clever because it's ink, like
INC or INK?
INK, because it's like ink.
Incorporated.
Yes, incorporated, but ink is in like,
Nice.
Ink.
Yeah.
So if you want to check out their social media, they got some good products. Cosmic Ink on Instagram and CL Clothing on Twitter.
Awesome.
And they're doing a collaboration with your merchandise
Yep.
that'll be coming out this week. Well, as coming out as in they'll be printing the shirts at their local high school.
I can't wait, and then I'll donate all the money to the high school. Maybe we'll see if I sell it.
Well,
yeah.
I mean that plywood's still up.
Oh,
they
yes,
still
that's
haven't
right.
fixed that. So,
oh boy, yeah. For anyone who doesn't know the inside joke here, our boy's car got totaled near the school there last year, and
it was pretty much in the school.
Just blew through a big brick pillar and everything.
Just a malfunction.
That was a weird one.
Unfortunate.
Yeah, the accelerator did stick. We have all the proof, and even though it sounds
very sounds like a cop out, but it was
sounds
very
implausible,
strange.
But
the school still hasn't fixed that.
That's cool. Yeah,
but they got really expensive vending machines apparently.
Oh, good.
Like really high tech.
Yeah.
Actually, if anyone's bored and wants to learn something, look at the science behind
these
vending. Just vending machines in general. It's
Oh, yeah.
really cool. They use infrared sensors and they read the coins, and it's really cool.
Yeah, that stuff's come a long ways. That whole vending used to be like vending machines, cigarette machines, and arcade games are all kind of, because a lot of it's similar technology with it used to be like relays and sensors and things, and then now it's all digital. But it's amazing how they can do that with the robotic arms that grab your pop and set it down.
Yeah, it's really weird.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah,
for sure. No, that's good. Yeah, we'll be showing the collabs on a few.
Probably next podcast I can wear it if I remember.
You can rep one for sure.
Yeah.
Right on. Okay. Well, this road is mine, and Cohen says goodbye. I say goodbye, and put on some Mariah Cooder. Make your day better.